So our group had the global biodiversity crisis for our presentation. So the biodiversity crisis is the rapid loss of species worldwide due to human activities. And this is very prevalent in the bird populations in North America because they've dropped by 2.93 billion since 1970. And this isn't just birds, also animals like insects and amphibians are also in decline due to similar causes. North America is a key area for bird decline, especially in grasslands. However, other ecosystems like tropical forests and wetlands are also heavily affected. Some factors include habitat loss, which is just the destruction of habitats, pesticides in agriculture, shifting weather patterns that can disrupt migration, breeding, and food sources, and then non-native predators like cats that kill birds. Some of the effects of biodiversity loss are disruption to ecosystems and harm to species that depend on them. Loss of birds weakens pest control and nutrient cycling. Declining species disrupt vital services like pollination and water purification, and ecosystem degradation threatens agricultural health and quality of life.
The questions being addressed in this study are: what are the trends in bird populations in North America over recent decades? Which species of birds are experiencing the most significant declines? How do these declines impact biodiversity and ecosystems? And what is contributing to the decline of these populations? The conductors of the study collected data through long-term monitoring of bird species and population sizes and trends. For the first key finding, they provided Figure 1, which is the net population change in North American birds. For Graph A, it shows a net loss of 2.9 billion birds across the continental avifauna since 1970. The gray shading represents the 95% credible interval around the total estimated loss. For Graph B, it shows a net loss of abundance occurred across all major breeding biomes except for wetlands. And it's also color-coded to the next graph. So for Graph C, it shows a proportional net population change relative to 1970. For Graph D, it shows a proportion of species declining in each biome. And as you can see, most species are declining by 50% or more. For the second key finding, they provided Figure 2, which is NextRad radar monitoring of nocturnal bird migration across the contiguous United States. For A, it shows the annual change in biomass passage for the full continental United States. For B, it shows the annual change in biomass passage for the Pacific, Central, Mississippi, and Atlantic flyways. The declines are only significant for the continental U.S., the Mississippi, and Atlantic flyways. The percentages are the amount each flyway makes up for the continental U.S. For C, it shows the single-site trends in seasonal biomass passage at 143 NextRad stations in the spring, estimated for 2007-2017. The dark red colors are higher declines and loss of biomass passage, while blue colors are where biomass increases. The circle size is the trend significance where closed circles are significant at a 95% confidence level. The area outside of the gray have a spatially consistent trend. For D, it shows the 10-year cumulative loss in a biomass passage. The red represents loss, while blue represents gain or consistency. The factors affecting these trends are climate change, light pollution, and weather. For climate change, the altering of weather patterns affects migration, timing, and routes. For light pollution, the artificial lighting disrupts nocturnal navigation, and for weather, severe weather can change migration patterns and their success.
In the third key findings, we are looking at the net change in abundance over the past half-century. In Table 1, you can see the specific species and its gains or losses in a particular species. In this table, you can also see the difference of change in abundance between breeding and non-breeding biomes. Finally, the table shows the decline of a certain species through the percentages seen in the table. So how should we go about addressing these issues? For habitat loss, legislation should establish protected areas for birds to live in. They should also attempt to restore the previously damaged ecosystems these birds were once in. For pesticides, legislation needs to attempt to outlaw the usage of these harmful pesticides. To address the issue of weather patterns, the government needs to push for the reducing of greenhouse gas emissions to help better the issue of climate change. When it comes to predators, we all need to manage safer living spaces for these birds, and an example of this would be safe nesting.